And then I just want to be back to the primary topic which we discussed this morning, which is adenoma detection rate, because this is something we should understand in order to evaluate the value of AI. So ADR, in short, it's a proportion of patients with the adenomas during colonoscopy, and this is associated with the cancer prevention effect, apparently. And a lot of the guidelines recommended 25 or more ADR for endoscopists to make sure that the cancer prevention effect is assured. But if you look at the reality, it's a challenge. It's also the same slide which Michael Kaminsky presented today. As you can see here, a lot of the people or a lot of the endoscopists do not satisfy the threshold level of 25% ADR. Therefore, it is quite important to move this lower performance group to the upper level. Of course, the general training matters, which is the most important measure to improve the performance of endoscopists, but we can provide some artificial measure to bring this group to the upper area, which might be AI. So this is a kind of the latest meta-analysis we have just published in Annals of Internal Medicine this year. And we analyzed more than 20 randomized controlled trials which investigated value of the CAT-E in colonoscopy. And as you can see here, we are able to expect 24% increment in ADR, which is a decent value, I would say. But given this kind of increment can contribute to the cancer prevention effect, what kind of cancer prevention effect can be estimated? This might be the answer of this kind of crazy question, probably, because it's just a micro simulation or calculation. But at least 5% reduction in colorectal cancer can be estimated or expected with the introduction of AI. And also, we have to admit that there are some negative data with regard to the use of the CAT-E. For example, these observational studies, all of them are super large-scale studies, provided completely negative data with regard to the use of CAT-E. There was no increment in ADR in these comparative observational studies. But it is, I guess, too early to conclude that AI has no meaning because, the highest level evidence always comes from randomized controlled trials, and the meta-analysis showed a 25% increase in ADR. While this kind of data can be observed because this might be real-world data, this might be a little bit worsely designed study because it's an observational study. So let's see what is the important thing, what is the truth. That's why we are arranging a really big study in Europe and Japan in order to understand the long-term effectiveness of CAT-E in endoscopy. Let's see what is the most important outcome measure. This is apparently the recurrence rate or the interval cancer rate. So we'll see. It may come in 10 or 15 years. I'm looking forward to the results of this kind of study. So ladies and gentlemen, I just want to summarize my talk, which is very simple. Use of AI will increase adenoma detection rate for sure, I would say, that a lot of arguments should be done in the future because it's still there's a lot of the things to be discussed with regard to this kind of new technology. Thank you.
Everybody happy? Got it?
With what? What are you going to use?
I'm going to use. Yeah, what would you guys use? Would you use so either endocut or coag? But I think John tends to use coag.
Yeah, I would only use coag here because I'm worried about the vessel in the middle. I'm not worried about causing perforation because you're well away from the kind of the bowel wall. So I'll just coagulate this all the way through. If anything that's flat or sessile, then I'd use the yellow pedal.
Everyone agree? I'm going for
force coag.
Yeah, force coag. Force coag. Force coag. Yeah, that's it. Thank you.
So we've got left in the session about 10 minutes. So let's have the last talk, getting the scope to the CECM. This is just really something that is an idea. So Yeah.
Small ones in there.
No, we were just having a look in the studio at the. You couldn't see it on the feed, but not really a big blood vessel in that stalk, was there? Bit of a disappointment, really. Okay, not the procedure itself. Sorry, the blood vessel. So, what about actually getting to the cecum? So you've heard from Yuichi about polyp detection. You've heard from Steve about the cecum basics. I loved your images, Steve, in your talk, especially the low-hanging fruit. That was an excellent image. So this is more about what about teaching your endoscopist a bit, maybe. So 8 a.m. this morning, and he wasn't actually doing it live. He was on a video. So he was actually opening Warsaw Live, our sister meeting at the moment, at 8 a.m. But he said, and he was asked the question, which of the three things, these following three things you can have, and what order would you have them in to improve ADR? And one was bowel prep, one was colonoscopy technique, and one was imaging, high definition imaging. And the option he took was colonoscopy technique to make the biggest impact on ADR. So AI was also an option, and he didn't take that either. Yet no real world application of AI as a trainer. I mean, you're starting to get there. The sort of idea you showed last, Steve, can be maybe into this category a little bit, but not really, in my opinion. So how could we leverage what we've been I mean, this whole Congress, right, this whole thing that we've been doing over the last 2 days is a bit breaking down how to do basic endoscopy into steps. So why could we not bring that into the space, potentially first of maybe not even an AI device, maybe it doesn't need to even have AI, maybe it can be, in computer terms, just a simple computer device, and then go from there. So colonoscopy technique matters. What is the impact of colonoscopy technique? Well, painless insertion, more time for withdrawal, cecal intubation rate, complete cecal examination, etc., etc. All these things, which we know are markers probably of good colonoscopy technique, but some of them are key performance indicators. The majority are not, but they could be seen as key procedure indicators, key patient indicators, and they make a difference in terms of the impact on patients. So if you were having a colonoscopy tomorrow, Christoph, what would you care about? Would you care that I, as your endoscopist, had an average withdrawal time of whatever I had, say 7 minutes, that I had my average ADR and my last 100 procedures was 50.5, and that the average number of times I retroflexed in the right colon and the rectum was 99.9%? Or would you care that in the procedure list of the day, you were number 24? I had been on call all night and had been awake all night and had only slept for 2 hours. I think you told me that about your child last night. The last dedicated cold snare has already been used for the day, and there's no more left. So that actually, right now, I have to use a messy snare or I can't interpret the margin. And that I'm actually already very stressed because the list is running late and I've got something I need to do at the end of the day.
Yeah, the items in the right box sounds
I mean, it might be that you can have the best colonoscopist who performs the best over multiple procedures, but that doesn't mean that that procedure at that patient at that time, they perform that way. Of what the loop is, if you're blind. And of course, the device is actually blind, right? And so it's very annoying for the human because they repeatedly have to answer all these questions. But I'll come back to that in a minute. So right now, the device knows that they have an